and welcome. You are listening to At Home with Ifenu. Here, we'll talk about helping women know and understand their worth, find fulfillment in who they are, and in what they do. Every other week, we'll talk about your identity as a woman, discovering your unique purpose, intentionally raising the next generation, and your influence in homemaking. I am your host, Ifoma Nneka Omoni. Hello, and welcome to another interesting time on At Home with Ifenu. How are you today? How has it been? 2022 is about rolling out. I know some of us are just wondering, what have I achieved this year? Some of us are saying, so many things have gone wrong. So many things have fallen apart. Ifeno, you don't understand. My life this year was turned upside down. I don't know how to get back on my feet again. I can understand in a way how you might feel. Not exactly, but I want you to know that whatever challenges, whatever pain, whatever you might have gone through this year, know that it is not over until it's over. So how is everyone doing today? Are you on your way to work? Are you taking care of those children? You're on your way to the market or your business or your office, whatever you might be engaged in. Is it morning, afternoon, or evening where you are all over the world? I welcome you to another informative and rewarding time. Today, I have an awesome guest on the platform with me. Yes, and I'll be bringing her up very soon. But before she comes up, I'd like to share our focus for today. Because of what is going on around the world and many of us are going through trying times, I would like us to focus on the topic tagged Rising from the Ashes, Dealing with Pain. Rising from the ashes, dealing with pain. Every one of us have gone through one pain or the other. It could be emotional, it could be physical, it could be a loss of a friend, a spouse, maybe you even lost a child, maybe you've lost your job, maybe you just parted ways with your spouse or something happened and it really took a toll on your life. I want you to just sit back and listen attentively to today's episode. It promises to encourage you. It promises to tell you that you are not alone, that God is with you, He's got your back. And it also makes us know that we are not the only ones going through pain. Every one of us have gone through one thing or the other. So my guest today is Mrs. Alaseidiema. She is a wonderful woman and she will be helping us to understand how we can rise from the ashes and deal with whatever pain we are going through. Let's welcome Mrs. Ala to At Home with Ifeno. You're welcome. How are you?
Thank you. I am fine. I'm great. And you?
I'm doing very well. We are so glad to have you on our platform. And I'd like by asking, in a world that is so busy, how does Mrs. Ala relax? What do you do to take off the stress? So many things we are involved in: family, business, career. And I know you are a coach. So what do you do to, ease off whatever tension you might have had, maybe on a particular day or a particular time? How do you relax?
I listen to music.
Wow.
Then I meditate.
Okay.
So growing up from childhood, I've never been a people person. So I take time out to read books, listen to music, meditate. So I can just be alone meditating. Some people say I'm a thinker. I don't know, but I think. I think. So one way I relax is by reading, by meditating, and by listening to music. So I listen to any kind of good music. I don't need to know the person, but I listen to good music because somehow it gives me an inspiration. So yeah, that's the way I relax.
So Mrs. Allah uses music to calm her nerves. Thank you for sharing your relaxation tips. So before we delve into today's topic, what would you like our listeners to always remember about you when they hear your name? When they hear Mrs. Alaseidiema, what would you like them to remember when they know that you were on At Home with Ifeno?
What I would like them to remember.
Mrs. Allah?
Yeah, Mrs. Allah is dynamic. Is a dynamic person. Is an enthusiastic person. Most times I refer to myself as a growth catalyst. I love to grow. I love personal development. I love to grow. So I call myself a growth catalyst because you cannot stay near me and not make progress and not grow. Because I always like to share what I know. And again, because I work in I work 9 to 5. Okay. I work in an admin unit. I also consider myself as a productivity strategist. And so when I am on a team, I look for ways of making that team productive. So I like to associate myself as being a productivity strategist. Then finally, I consider myself as a transformational journey facilitator.
Wow.
So you want to move from one level to another level. You want to transform. I consider myself as your facilitator when it comes to transformational journey.
Wow. That introduction is really, as in, I'm thinking, maybe I need to sign up with Mrs. Allah for one of her, her growth catalyst program, because we all need to keep growing and learning. No one is too old to grow, no matter how far we have come. Thank you for that introduction. So, what would you define as pain? Based on our topic tagged Rising from the Ashes, dealing with pain. I know that pain is different things, but from your own personal, your knowledge and maybe your experience, what would you define as pain?
Pain is an uncomfortable feeling or sensation in our body. An uncomfortable feeling or sensation. Before I go further, I will give an example. Some weeks back, I had a discomfort. There was a discomfort around my body. I observed my body and I had to call the doctor. And when I called up the doctor, I told the doctor, I don't know if it is normal, but it's something I'm not used to. And so we had to go further in diagnosis. So for me, pain is an uncomfortable feeling or sensation in the body that suggests that something is not right. Pain is a signal that something may be wrong. Pain could also be seen as great discomfort that we have. For instance, the example I gave, I had a discomfort. And so because the discomfort had lingered for some days, I had to seek for medical advice. Now, it wasn't something very serious, but it made me understand that something was not right. And pain could also be a feeling of unhappiness. that we have when something unpleasant happens. So something has happened that is not right, and we feel, or something unpleasant has happened and we feel unhappy about it. We feel upset about it. That again could be pain for me. So basically, pain is the feeling of unhappiness when something unpleasant or something upsetting has happened. Pain is the discomfort or the uncomfortable feeling we have that suggests that something is not right and needs attention.
Wow. Okay, so from your definition, I am guessing that pain in itself is a good thing, because it shows that if we don't have pain, we might not know that something is going wrong, or that we need to pay attention to maybe a particular area of our life that we might be neglecting. So it's like an alarm clock telling us that you need to check this, or you need to do something about this area of your life, because you also defined it as beyond physical pain, when maybe an area in your life is you are not happy about that particular area, and it brings that pain. So it makes you know that maybe you have been living on a default mode that you just go, and then when that situation happens, maybe in a relationship, you now find out that maybe you have been neglecting, or something has been happening and you have not been paying attention. So pain in itself could be seen in another, or maybe the other side of the coin, as a good thing, because it keeps us alert and makes us know that we can't just continue living the same way we are doing. So the next question I have is, what will you call ashes? We've talked about pain, and we are saying we are rising from the ashes. So ashes in the literal sense is like maybe burnt up wood, or something happened in a particular place, and after the burning and destruction, we now see this left over or whatever. So is a figurative speech, or how do we now, or figurative part of speaking, how do you now let our listeners understand what it means to rise from whatever pain or discomfort they might have gone through, or they are even going through as we are speaking now?
Okay, you have defined ashes, the remains after something is burnt. I also want to look at it from the definition of pain I gave. Ashes in one's life could mean our failures. It could also mean our weaknesses. Ashes again in our lives may represent those things in our lives that did not work out according to how we had planned them to. So what do I mean? We have planned that at age 25, for instance, I will get married. So it's looking like everything is planned out. And reality comes at age 25, the marriage is not forthcoming. Age 26, the marriage is not forthcoming. So in that instance, ashes represent those things that we had planned out but did not work according to our plan. So they could also represent those nasty things that we did and we wish we never did. So those things that we did and we wish that we would never do them. So those things that we regret doing. Ashes could also be the remains after a great pain. So I have gone through a pain. For instance, I gave a scenario. I had discomfort. It was a pain. I went to the hospital, right? Let's assume that I had an emotional pain. The remains after that pain is the ashes. Now, I also want to add to the listeners that sometimes no one sees these burnt pieces of our lives. No one sees these ashes, as it were, except ourselves. So It means that these ashes in our lives are those things that we would rather not smell. They are those things that we would rather not look at. They are those things that sometimes we would pretend as though they never existed, even though they are real. They remind us of, how do I put it now? They remind us of how we took the wrong path. They remind us of how we hurt people with our actions. They remind us that people were burned by our fire. So, when we talk about ashes, marrying it to the remains of something that was burnt, like wood that was burnt, paper that was burnt, for us, ashes too could be the remains after we had gone through a phase of our life that might not have been pleasant.
Wow. Ashes, the remains of our lives that might not have been pleasant. Wow. So are there reasons, okay, maybe you would have answered this next question. Are there particular reasons why some of us go through the pains we go through? Is it necessarily our fault? Will some of our listeners feel that, well, it was not my fault. I did all my best in that relationship. I did everything for my child. Yes, my child didn't turn out well. Why do I have to go through this pain? Is it really my fault? What will you say about such thoughts?
Sometimes the pain might not be our fault. But there are times again that the pain might be our fault. If you look at John chapter 10 verse 10, said the devil has come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. So the devil, the enemy, is there, whether you like it or not. He is there. The Bible says that he's moving about to and fro, looking for who he will devour. So because the enemy, the devil, is there, he is there to inflict pain. Again, if you look at John 16:33, we live in an imperfect world. Because we live in an imperfect world, there is bound to be imperfections around us. That's why the Bible says you are in the world, but you're not of the world. Be transformed. Be transformed, because the world is not perfect. The world is evil. So when it comes to these things, it might not be our fault. It is not our fault, as a matter of fact. But when pain is our fault, is when we make the wrong choice. Is when we make the bad choice. So yeah, there are times you go through pain, not because it's your fault. But again, there are times you go through pain because you have made a wrong choice. So
our choices can get us there.
Yes, our choices can get us pain. Sometimes certain things happen and we ask, I'm coming from the point of view of being a Christian. Sometimes certain things happen and we ask, God, why would this happen? God, were you not there? Oh, God like this, God like this. It's possible God spoke. It's possible he gave instructions, but we were not careful to listen. We're too busy to listen. So it could be possible. Then there are other times, like, if you look at the book of Job, I don't know, but reading through the book of Job, Job did not know what the problem was, because God did not tell him he dialogued on his account with the enemy. But he went through what he went through. It wasn't his fault. God had a dialogue without the knowledge of Job. Do we get it?
Yes.
So when we put all these things together, we might not know. It might not be our fault, but again, it can be our fault.
Wow.
When we make the wrong choice, yeah.
Wow. So you are also an author, even though you didn't include that. You didn't include the writing part of what you do, and you have a book titled Wound to Scar. So can you share with our listeners what really inspired writing that book? And then maybe how they can get the book, because I know it's online presently. Your book won't start. Can you just share a little about the book and what
like we're talking about pain, we're talking about ashes. You know, at a point in time in my life, I felt God was far. I felt all hopes were lost. Things were not working according to plan, you know, in my life. So maritally, financially, and otherwise. And I go to the place of prayer, and God is speaking. But what God is speaking, I am not seeing it manifest. I give an instance. I had a word clearly. This will be your season of new beginning. But it was like the new beginning was far. Maybe my understanding of new beginning was different from what God was telling me. But I came in contact with somebody that I know. We went for a meeting. He's a pastor. We attended we were in the same fellowship, but he was ahead of me. When I was in university, I was in IFS. And he looked at me and said, "Allah, looking at you, the word that dropped in my spirit is that it is a new beginning for you."
Wow.
So it confirmed the word I had
received.
But it was like I was having issues financially. My husband and I that used to be friends, it looked as though we're no longer becoming friends again. And I wasn't happy. I had to seek for the leading of the Holy Spirit to help me. I went closer to God in prayer. I had to study more. I had to listen more. And in going close to God, I realized that a lot of people are going through things that they cannot explain. A lot of people have been betrayed. A lot of people cannot explain what is happening to them. I realized that everybody is fighting a unique battle. So the battle of one person might be that I do not have a child. The battle of another person is that, oh, I do not have a spouse. The battle of another person is that, oh, my health is failing. The battle of another person is that, oh, financially, I'm not okay. So it dawned on me that it is almost not possible to pass through life without scars as a result of wound. And you know, in course of reflecting that period, I realized also that we have scars, but we hide the scars. We have issues, but we do not talk to people about it. We conceal it. And so I made up my mind. Because I had people, one or two people to talk to, I'm going to put out something that will minister to people, irrespective of the kind of challenge they might be going through. And so in writing that book, I had a story, the story of someone called Helen, who was betrayed, who got married and separated, but then there is hope for her. And so, speaking to the listeners today, I want them to understand that every scar has a story. Every scar can be transformed by God into beauty marks. Because every single person is fighting a battle unique to that person. And everybody fighting that battle is waiting for our story, for our testimony to heal. And so emotional wounds, yes, heal, but sometimes they leave scars. And these scars make us wiser. Wiser because we will not want to make the same mistake again. Peradventure, it was a mistake. Wiser because we will know how to tackle those issues better when next we face them. Wiser because we'll know how to talk to the younger ones, talk to the next person that might be going through that. So basically what inspired to write the book was because at a point I didn't feel God, not because God wasn't there anymore, but I didn't feel him, and I needed to feel him because I had some issues that beclouded my mind. And so I had to write the book because a lot of people out there might and are still going through the same thing.
Wow. Thank you, Allah, for really being generous and open to write that book, because listeners, I have read that book. A small book, but very powerful. I know I have gone through it, I think 3 times now, over and over and over. So how do people get the book, Mrs. Allah?
Okay, the book is on Seller.
Okay.
Seller. The title of the book is Wound to Scar. Wound to Scar. The book is on Seller and it's free.
Wow.
I told myself I won't sell it because people need to heal. So the book is on Seller and it's free. Seller.co. SELAR.co. So log in and create an account if you have to. Then search for the book Wound to Scar.
I'll get the link from Mrs. Allah and put it in my show notes. Wow. Thank you for this beautiful gift. And I know you also have the workbook too. Can they also access that from there?
The workbook has not gone out yet.
Oh, okay.
It hasn't gone out yet, but the book is out.
Okay. Thank you so much. And what else you've told us that you're a growth catalyst. Is there any other thing you would like our listeners to know about what you do? Any online courses, or maybe they are coming up? Maybe at home with Ifeno will inspire you to come up with courses, because when you say growth catalyst, we need people like you so that we don't set goals that we never achieve. Like I said, the year is almost coming to an end, and I'm sure some people are like, all the goals I wrote in January, I don't even know if I have achieved any one. And we might be giving excuses that, Ifeno, I went through a very tough time. But Mrs. Allah is telling us that we need to rise from those ashes. We need to come back from wherever we think our life was on hold, because it is possible for us to rise again. Thank you so much. Before she gives us her parting words and maybe some practices that can help us to rise from the ashes by dealing with our pains, I would like our listeners to be informed that we now have an email address that you could send your questions, your concerns, and even maybe you have topics that or things you would like us to treat on At Home with Ifeno. As long as they are within what we are here to do, you can send such mails to athomewithifeno@gmail.com, all in small letters, athomewithifeno@gmail.com. So Mrs. Allah, what will you say to that woman or that person, whoever is listening, that these are the 3 things you can do to rise from the ashes, not to run away? I know that many people will say, Mrs. Allah, I can't share my pain. No, you said that many of us are hiding. You said that many of us, those pains are inside there In fact, nobody even knows whether we are dying gradually. What will be 3 things you want such a person to remember, to know that they can rise from whatever ashes that are still around them and their lives?
I can relate with that person that will not want to share the person's story, because I can be that kind of person. I can be that person that can just keep quiet and be praying that everything will fall into place. But I had to pray, and I needed to speak with somebody. I looked round, and I went to somebody. He's a pastor, and guess what? When I went to him, I told him that I don't like talking to people because I'm scared of somebody preaching to what I will say. And he laughed, and I shared that something is not right. Something is not right with me. I shared a part of it. We prayed together, and of course, he was between me and him, and it wasn't any so much of secret anyways. But then I think because he too went back to pray, he told me there's somebody I will want you to talk to. And he told me who the person is. Coincidentally, it was somebody I know. And so I walked up to I called the person and we talked. Now, so what am I saying? Our listeners should be able to identify somebody that they can confide in, that is not flippant. And it will take God and the Holy Spirit to direct you to that person. So the God factor is there. It's not everybody you see that you must talk to. It's not healthy talking to everybody. But when you go close to God, you go to the place of prayer, He will be able to make you identify 1 or 2 persons you talk to. Then I also had a prayer partner where I work. So I had to open up to her that something is not right. Physically, spiritually, maritally, this is the challenge. And we started praying about it intensely. So identify somebody you can talk to. Have a prayer partner. For those of us that like to stay on our own, I like to stay on my own. We find it difficult to talk to people, but it is not healthy. So identify somebody higher over you that you can talk to, that is more spiritually, as higher spiritually than you. Somebody that can pray with you, you trust, that can pray with you. But above all, you have a relationship with God. It is your pain. It is not the other person's pain. So they can go the level to which they can go. And I also want to add that sometimes we go through pain because we need to get close to God. If I didn't go through that issue of being confused, as it were, I won't have written a book. If I didn't go through that pain, I won't have been a better person. If I didn't go through that challenge, I won't have probably known God or be intimate with God the way I am with Him right now. It's easy for us to say, God is a healer, because we are hearing people say God is a healer.
Yes.
But one-on-one, we've not encountered him to know that he is our own
healer.
He is my healer. So I come and I proclaim God is love, because another person is always showing me the love of God in the life of the person. But until I get that relationship with God, until I get that connect with God, until I get that love relationship with God, I won't know. Yes, I won't know who he is. So beyond getting a mentor or a confidant, beyond getting a prayer partner, know God for yourself. Go to him. Because some things he will reveal to you concerning that situation, he might not reveal to them. It's you and him. He needs you in your place. Then the faith of the others will help the situation.
Wow.
So learn to speak up to somebody. Even if the person is a stranger. So I used to okay, just talk to a stranger that you will not see the person's face, the person too will not see it. Just talk to a stranger, but learn to talk to somebody that both of you two can be seeing yourselves.
Wow. Thank you. I just want to remind our listeners, if they didn't get it, Miss Allah is telling us that no matter how reserved or you are very private, you don't like sharing things with people, maybe still based on this pain, some of us we recoil to ourselves, maybe because of past experience, and we decide that nobody, I will never tell anybody anything again. But she's telling us that it's not healthy. We should just, even if it is to narrate the story like it's another person's story, and hear what the person is.
Yeah. No, but you're right. Even if really is to narrate the story as though it's another person's story, just shall narrate the story and get out what you need to get out for yourself.
Yes, because a problem shared, it will take off that pressure. When you share it, there's this burden that maybe has been there that you feel like a load. And once you share it, and that person maybe shares their own view, there's a way it might calm you down. So she's saying we should prayerfully look for one person that we can share. But the striking part she really mentioned, which I really agree with, is we need to cultivate an intimate relationship with our Creator. Why? Because rising from the ashes, dealing with pain, having scars that can be turned to beautiful marks that you can always look back and say, oh, if not for this, my life would have been a disaster. It has something to do with our identity. And I can tell us, dear listeners, that many of our problems are rooted in identity crisis. Many of us don't really know who we are. Many of us are living life to please people. Many of us are going through what we are going through just because of others. But when we can rise from the ashes and deal with whatever it is through our intimate relationship with God, our identity of who we are will become clear. We will not live just for people, but we will live to please our Creator God. Thank you so much, Mrs. Allah. We are really grateful, especially for that free gift. Listeners, please go to seller.com and look for that book, Wound to Scar, by Mrs. Allah Daniel-Atedoghu. It's a free gift for anyone that can click on it. Please click on it as soon as possible, because maybe very soon she will change her mind and put a price tag to it in dollars. So let's use this opportunity, and we really appreciate you for being on this platform. We look forward to more of you here, because we see that you are really loaded with helping people, being productive, and to grow and to come out of whatever might be holding them back. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Bye. Thanks for joining us this week on At Home with Ifeno. Check us out on Instagram at Ifeno17. As always, subscribe to the show to catch every new episode and leave us a review so we can continue to bring you fresh content. See you next in 2 weeks' time.